all of you are joined. So I think you'll be able to see the recording later. Yeah, and yeah, so today is our first lection about Node.js. I'll tell you in this lection about Node.js, just what is Node.js, about NPM, and about some standard Node.js libraries. Couple words about me. My name is Ivan Drobish. I am lead software engineer in EPAM company. I have been working for EPAM for about 3.5 years, and I'm currently located in Georgia. Here you can see my email. If you have some questions, you'll be able to ask them anytime by email. But also, I believe I have access to the Teams channel. So yeah, if you have any questions, you'll be able to ping me there. Okay, a couple words about the whole course. Yeah, we'll have 6 lectures. After every second lecture, you'll receive homework. Yeah, you also can ask any questions anytime. You can raise your hand. You can ask them in chat. Yeah, I'm trying to monitor chat, and I'll try to answer them. And of course, you can just unmute yourself and ask a question by voice. Okay. Also, a little bit more details about current model. We'll in the first 2 lections we'll go through Node.js, like introduction of Node.js, NPM, and a couple more standard libraries, as already said. Also, after we'll face Express framework, and we'll talk about authorization and authentication. Then you'll get the first homework. Then we'll talk about databases, MongoDB in particular. So also we'll go a little bit deeper into MongoDB, and we'll build some APIs. We'll also talk about REST and RESTful applications and MVC pattern. Then we'll receive the second homework, and then some DevOps stuff such as deploying and Docker containers and so on. Then of course testing, and some like more information about files, streams, third-party services, ML, and so on. And also have some like information about what is WebSockets, and we'll work with Socket.io, and I'll tell you what is it. And I will receive the most interesting and the most also challenging task. That's it about current course, and a couple more words about current lecture. So yeah, right after this slide, I'll tell you what is Node.js, then I'll tell how to install it, then about modules, all kind of modules, and we'll show you what is local modules, NPM one, and built-in modules. Then we'll show a couple of examples of built-in modules such as HTTP, file system or FS, and OS process, and so on. Yeah, let's move to the next one. Yeah, what is Node.js? Yeah, here a couple words about Node.js from the official documentation. Yeah, Node.js is an open source cross-platform JavaScript runtime environment that executes JavaScript code outside of a browser. And yeah, when someone says JavaScript, you might think that you need to write some code, put this code into HTML, or create some site, and then put the link to another script where you will put some JavaScript file, and this code will be executed in browser. Yeah, when you open this file with some JavaScript code, this code will be executed in your Google Chrome or Mozilla Firefox browser, and this code, like this approach, has several limitations. For example, you don't have access to, for example, file system, and this code is executed on like client side, it means, for example, if you have your own site, yeah, for example, EPAM, yeah, let's say EPAM.com, we have a lot of JavaScript code on front end, and this code will be executed in every computer that opens this site. And since JavaScript was improving, new features were adding during the time, Brian Dahl decided to create Node.js, JavaScript service side, and Node.js was created to be able to run some JavaScript code on server, not in the browser, in the server. And also some more stuff will added to this Node.js. Yeah, for example, when you run your JavaScript in Node.js, you will have some access, for example, to file system, to network. You can, for example, run HTTP server and so on. Yeah, that's what is Node.js. It will it's a way to run your JavaScript code on server side. Yeah, by using Node.js, you can create several kind of applications. Actually, you can, I don't know, maybe any kind of application, you can do it with Node.js. Here, just the most common one is like single page application, some real-time application, and some even command line interface. Yeah, all of that you can do with Node.js. In the next slide, you can see the titles that use Node.js under the hood. Yeah, for example, Netflix, PayPal is the most. They are the most popular ones who decided to use Node.js on the backend, and yeah, some more. For example, yeah, LinkedIn. Also, we're big we're a big site that use Node.js. Yeah, a little bit more about Node.js. And when we're talking about even JavaScript, we know that JavaScript executes in one thread. When you run in browser, the only one thread is dedicated for execution JavaScript. And to make it possible to do some even animations, yeah, to not block everything. JavaScript uses non-blocking input-output operation. It means that, for example, when you run your code, and in this code you need to make some time-consuming task. For example, when you need to wait for something. Let's say you want to make the request to some server. Yeah, you want to get some data about user, and you make the request. And you will be able to do some in another JavaScript during waiting for this request. You will already know promises, callbacks, async awaits. All this stuff will help you to do not block like main thread during some task that where you need just to wait. For example, set timeout. Yeah, you can just postpone execution of something. And Node.js, you use the same approach, but the like event loop, the thing that is responsible for everything, for every async stuff. This thing is in Node.js is a little bit different to the browser. Yeah, as you can see in the picture, it's like kind of very simple picture of how Node.js works. Yeah, for example, we run our Node.js application as a server that receives some request, and you might see that when requests came in event loop, we will do some stuff inside there. This stuff can be accessing file system, going to database, or some computations. All this stuff will be like it won't be done inside JavaScript, because you cannot just open file in JavaScript. You just, for example, call the function that will get the content of this file to the JavaScript variable, but the process of going to Node.js is written on C++, and in JavaScript you just call this kind of, I don't know, like method, and JavaScript can be executed further without waiting for file system and so on. So event loop helps us to do it. Yeah, I see the question in the chat. Why big company use Node.js? Because I imagine they have lots data and need more specific language for backend to handle them rather than mixed language like JavaScript. Yeah, actually, yeah, that's a good question because in most cases, it doesn't matter what language, what platform do you use. For example, if we want to create some, I don't know, online shop, or we want to create some application on mobile with some real-time data, we can use a lot of technologies. We can decide to use Java, we can decide to use JavaScript, and so on. That's why there is some specific cases. For example, you need a very big performance. You need to, I don't know, do some CPU-bound tasks. For example, you need to process your images and resize them and so on. In that case, it's like very specific task. And for example, for that situation, Node.js is not really okay. It's not really a good choice. But for most of them, you can use a Node.js and everything will be okay. And big companies just want to like save money. For example, they will choose Node.js because a lot of people know Node.js. It's very popular technology now. Also, it's like young enough. Yeah, like 2000 to 2009 was the date when Node.js was created. A little bit more than 10 years from this time is gone, but Node.js already recommended itself like a good tool. So, and also, full stack developers can easily use Node.js on backend and JavaScript and some framework on front end. So that's why they use it. So, and talking about like mixed language, yeah, not everyone likes JavaScript. Yeah, but again, we have a lot of developers. They know how to write code in JavaScript. Yeah, that's reasons why they can just choose this language and everything will be fine. But also, to be honest, for the most new projects in EPAM and like in every, I think, company, TypeScript is used like language, yeah, because TypeScript has some types, and after compilation, it will be compiled into JavaScript. But developers use TypeScript in most cases, but yeah, JavaScript as well. So yeah, and to sum up everything, big companies use Node.js because it's cheaper, it's easier, and it works fine. Yeah, just something like that. I hope I answered your question. Okay, let's move to the next slide. Is a little bit more details about event loop. Here, just and like schema, how it works in Node.js. In Node.js, we have several phases. For example, timers, as you can see, like this loop is very good illustrated here. When, for example, callback queue is clear, event loop will go through every this phase. And for example, when callback stack is clear, we'll go to run due timers and check if there are any timers that already that can be executed. For example, time is out, yeah, and if there are something, we'll execute them, and after that we'll go to the next phase, pending callbacks, the same thing about idle handlers and so on. So if we compare this to browser, we here in browser we have just micro tasks and macro tasks, but here we have some more phases. Yeah. For example, in the first phase, we check timers and set intervals. In the next one, we check some callbacks, such as pending callbacks. I believe this is internal phase. Then inlay handlers and prepare handles. It's also they are internal phases, so we don't know what happens inside. Then poll for I/O. This phase will be used for callbacks in input-output operations. For example, for file system, when we read some file and add the callback for the reading, this callback will be executed in this phase. Then check handlers in this phase set immediate will be executed, and the last one is close callbacks. Inside this phase, it will be some close callback executed, for example, when socket is closed and so on. Call pending callbacks. I don't remember precisely, but I'm not sure that this one is internal phase. Maybe some callbacks that are not included in all other phases will be executed here. And also we have some more thing. It's promises and next ticks. Next tick is a way to run some data, to run some code as soon as possible, such the same like as promises, and all like promises and next ticks, they will be executed before every phase. For example, in some timer, we added, I don't know, some next tick, it will be executed right after this phase. We won't wait until it's I don't know until the phase until the whole loop is done. Next tick and promises they have a higher priority. And here a very small example. It's like not really hard, and I think in browser it will work the same way, but just to like show you how it works. Here we have the code, the function. Inside this function, we have several console logs, and also we have several timers. I'm sorry, timeouts. And if, as you can see in the first timeout, we don't have like timeout number, but if we do not provide the second argument, 0 will be used by default. And as you can see below, you see the output, and the order of this output is the next. So first of all, we check all like synchronous code is console log, then the second console log, then the last console log, and after these console logs are executed, our callback call stack will be clear, and like JavaScript will wait, or Node.js will go to the like first phase. In Node.js is timers, and we'll check if there are any any timers that that just waiting for execution. And since we provide 0 here or nothing, it means that they'll be ready right after callback call stack is clear, and that's why they will be executed right after the last like console log. We'll see the console log from the first set timeout, and this then from the second set timeout. Okay, on the next slide, I want to show you the architecture of Node.js. When you write your code in Node.js, is just the higher brick. It's just a small part of this architecture. Inside your code, you can use some core modules. They also can be written on JavaScript. And as you can see, there is like a line, and this line divides our Node.js into two parts. Into the part that using has more like C and C++ stuff. In the one with C++, we have some C++ add-ons, and also we can write our own add-ons. For example, we can write some code on C++, and then we can use this add-on in our JavaScript file. Then we have here V8, and V8, this thing is responsible for executing your code, executing your JavaScript code. So your JavaScript code will go to V8, and like this engine for JavaScript, the same one like in Chrome browser. And if the version of, for example, V8 in Node.js and in your Google Chrome, if the versions are the same result is expected for the same JavaScript code. Yeah. Also, we have like libuv stuff. Libuv is a library for like to simplify it, the event loop is implemented inside this library. So all phases, all the things that I've mentioned before, is inside libuv. And yeah, of course, we have some more thing in like inside Node.js, and like at the lowest level, we have operation system. So as you can see from our JavaScript code, we don't have a direct access to operation system, but it's done through some C++ and C code. Okay, then talking about Node.js and how to install it, there is a website, it's nodejs.org, and from this website you can install your install Node.js to your laptop or computer. So on the screenshot on the right side of the slide you can see that recommended version is 12, but this presentation is a little bit outdated, and the latest version of Node.js is 18, but the recommended one is 16. So if you open the site now, you'll see like a little bit different numbers, but yeah, you can just download, for example, 16 version. After the download and installing Node.js are done, you can run node-v inside your terminal, and you'll see the output. It's the version of Node.js that installed on your computer. Yeah. So if you need to install Node.js, just open this site from your computer. The installation process can be a little bit different from operation system. For example, if someone from you uses I don't know Linux, macOS, or Windows, the installation can be a little bit different. But yeah, I think the instructions will be on nodejs.org. Okay. After you install your Node.js application, you can start use it. Yeah, and first of all, you can create just a JavaScript file. Inside this JavaScript file, you can write some JavaScript code, the same code that you write in your browser, and you'll be able to execute this code. And to do it, you need to run Node.js, like to say to Node.js to execute this file. It can be done by using Node program from terminal, and then provide the path to your JavaScript file. As you can see on the second screen, we just type node test.js, and it's executed. As you can see, the result of console log we see on the screen, just hello world. So it's a very beginning of diving deeper in Node.js, but you can already, if you know JavaScript, you can already use Node.js. Yeah. Okay. Next one I want to tell you, is NVM. NVM is Node.js version manager, and yeah, as already said on the screenshot before, let me open it. Yeah, you've seen that on the screenshot we have 12 version of Node.js. Now the last one is 16, and it means that Node.js has release cycle, and every year you'll be needed to upgrade. And NVM is util that helps you to manage your Node.js versions. Sometimes you might have several, for example, projects or several Node.js applications, and one Node.js application uses a Node.js version 12, another one 10th version, yeah, and you would like to have ability to change your Node.js version just very easily, and NVM helps us with that. Yeah, you can just install NVM, and after that you can put, for example, NVM ls, and you'll see that here the list of the available versions of Node.js on the screenshot. Yeah. Also, there are some more commands. For example, NVM ls remote will list all available versions Node.js, but not on your local machine, but also in internet, the ones that you can install. Then when you decided to use some Node.js, decided to install some Node.js, you can just put nvm install and then the version of your Node.js, of the Node.js you want to install. For example, you can put nvm install just 16. It means that 16 version of Node.js will be installed. After the installation, you can put nvm use and the version of Node.js, and after like this comment, yeah, when you put node -v, yeah, you will see the version that you've put before. So it's a way to change the version. And as I said previously, when you have several projects, you can just open another project, put nvm use, I don't know, v10, and after that you can start this project because everything will work since the version is changed. And of course, NVM help is just the documentation about this tool, some more comments, and so on. Okay, let's continue and let's talk about modules in Node.js. And yeah, we can kind of separate modules into three parts. First part is your own modules. Actually, in most cases, it's just different files. Yeah. For example, you have a big application and writing the code in one file, yeah, will be not really good because you'll have a lot of code, big number of thousands of rows of code, and you will be needed to create separate files, and local modules will help you with that. You can create a additional model, put some data, put some code there. For example, the code that will be responsible for connecting to database, then create a file with another stuff and so on. And you will be able to separate your application into smaller modules. It's about local modules. Also have some third-party modules. These modules are about they are you can install them from npm. For example, when you want to create some Node.js application, and for example, you'd like to, I don't know, you'd like to use some framework, yeah? You would like to use some code that someone already implemented, or you would like to use some library and so on. All of this stuff you can install from npm, and yeah, when you want to do something, you just need to think maybe someone already implemented the thing. Yeah. It's about third-party modules, and then built-in modules. These modules that are already implemented in Node.js. We'll also discuss a little bit about them later, But for example, you can use such modules as HTTP or FS and so on. And when you want to do some like low-level stuff, it's highly likely that you need to use some built-in modules. For example, if you want to create a server, you will need to use HTTP or HTTPS model, or if you want to check the version of operating system that your Node.js is running in, you need to use another built-in model. Okay, I see the question. I heard that behind the scene, Chrome and Node.js both uses V8 engine. If I use to hide version of Node.js to write backend and to old version of Chrome, that then become incompatible, or those two are independent when talk about version? Yeah, that's a good question. So first of all, talking about, for example, some project that has front end and back end, actually, in most cases, you won't share the code because the code will be different. Like on front end, we write JavaScript code that related to some UI stuff. In backend, we write some code that related to, I don't know, database stuff and requests and so on. So you won't be able to share this code in most cases. Not I'm not talking that you won't be needed it, yeah, because the code are completely different. But for example, you might want to create the library, yeah, that can be used on Node.js and for example, and browser. For example, you would like to create the model that will be, I don't know, the model that is responsible for doing some mathematical calculations. Yeah. And this stuff is not related to front end or back end, and you can create this model. And if inside this model you use something that some JavaScript feature that was implemented recently, for example, you would like to use let's say flat map, yeah, in this library, then when you use this library on Node.js, last version of Node.js, you won't see any problems. But when you use this library in your Chrome and your Chrome is outdated, or even you use this library is in Internet Explorer, you will see the problems. But in front end, in most cases, we use some compilers and some, for example, bundlers such as Webpack and so on, and all your front-end code, even if you use some very new stuff such as flatmap, promise all setlet, and I know async awaits, because some of like let's say Internet Explorer doesn't support async await, yeah, you will be need to like compile your JavaScript, your modern JavaScript code to the old one. You need to do it in front end. And when you do it, you won't face any problems with some libraries or even some code that should be run on front end and back end. So like the answering to your question, by default, yes, you will see like the problems because the version is different and some features can be implemented in Node.js but still not implemented in browser. But to fix this, we have some bundlers, Webpack, and so on. You'll be able to transpile your code to the old JavaScript code with some polyfills and so on. Okay, let's continue to our presentation. Yeah, talking about modules, here the example of local modules. For example, we would like to create myDateTime function. We can create this myDateTime function in some file, and inside this file, we create the function. But to make this function, to make it possible to import this function from another file, we need to create a model. To do it, we just use expert. It's a global variable in Node.js. You can use expert dot, and then it's just an object, yeah, and you can put any data inside this object. For example, you can put the function, yeah, and as you can see, we did the same thing here. We just type experts dot myDateTime and then equal and then function. We then use another file. Inside this file, we use require statement. So this require statement is a way to import some modules from another files, yeah, or another modules. It doesn't matter which one, and we put the path to the file we want to export inside require function. And as you can see, date utils inside this in this example, date utils variable will be the same variable like exports in another screen. And when we want to use some data from this model, we just use, for example, myDateTime. As you can see, it's a function. We can call it, and in timestamp, we'll see the result of myDateTime function, of the execution of this function. It's about local modules. You can create as much modules as you want and import them between each other. But in modern Node.js, require statement. Yes, a little bit more information I want to give you is like we have the most popular model systems. First one is CommonJS, and inside CommonJS, when we wanted to import some model, we use, as you can see, require and exports. Yeah, this is common JS approach. Yeah, we also have ES6 imports modules. Yeah, when we use ES6, we use import and export statements. You might already seen them in during working with JavaScript, and in modern Node.js versions, you can also use import exports. But for older one, you need to use require. Okay, then a couple more words about npm. So npm is a node package manager. It doesn't mean that you can't use packages from npm in your front-end application, but you also can use the packages from npm, yeah, in backend and in frontend. So npm consists of three parts. First one is website, and you can open this website is npmjs.com. In this website, you can find any npm package you want to use. For example, you would like to, I don't know, search for some Node.js library. Let's say some library for WebSockets. You just write a WebSocket word in search and see the libraries that source return to you, and you can use any of this library in your application. Then the second one is registry. So registry is just kind of big database in npm. And all your modules, when you run npm install and the name of the module, so npm will go to this registry, yeah, and check whether either the model you are searching inside this database, and if so, it will be installed. So registry is just a database. And for big projects, yeah, this database is the same for example, if any one of you decided to run npm install and some name, for example, some package, the same database will be used when I run on my own computer the same commands. Yeah, it means like all of us use the same database of Node.js packages. npm packages, but sometimes customers they want to have their own packages, because it can be situation when you need to create a package that should be used only in your application but not in any others, and you don't want to have to give access to someone else. You don't want to make this package accessible from any computer. So it's possible to create our own registry. We will be needed to set up a server and and configure our own npm to go to this server and not to the global one. But by default, you use just a registry, a global one, npm database. And the last one is CLI, or command line interface, is just npm. And when you need to install something, you run npm install. When you need to update your package, or you need to, I don't know, delete the package or something else, or install all packages, you run just a specific command in npm. Also, when you when you develop your application, can be a situation when you have a lot of libraries that you're using in your application. It can be some frameworks, some helpful libraries, some libraries, I don't know, for mathematical computation, for algorithmic stuff, for requests, and so on. And the number of these libraries can be really huge. And for example, when a new developer comes to the project, you'll be needed to share the libraries that this developer needs to install in his machine. And it's not really useful, not really like handy, yeah, because you need to share this stuff, you need to store it somewhere. That's why npm uses package.json, and package.json is just a file that that is stored in your project. Inside this file, we have some information about packages we use, about like if our if, for example, we can also write our own packages, and the name of this package, the version, and so on will be specified inside these packages on file. And as you can see, we have name. Name is just the name of the package. Yeah, and for example, when we publish our package by this name, your package can be installed. Then version, it's just the version of your package. When you add in some stuff and add some functions, you need to upgrade this version. Then description is just a description of what does your package do. Then main is a path to like main file to the entry point of your application or your package. Then scripts is just it's not just one test, but you can add as many scripts as you want. And when you run npm, then run and then script name, the command from like value of this script will be executed. For example, you can add some script to start in your application, and you can create a start script, and in the value of this script you can add some stuff like node space index, for example ts. Yeah, and when new developer come to the project, he will see that to start the application he need just to run npm run start, and yeah, the application will be started. So scripts are very useful, and yeah, most of project use them. The next one is author. Yeah, of course, it's just the name of the one who created this one. Then license, and the last one is dev dependencies. Also, there are more fields you can add to this package, but this one is they are the most common one. Talking about dependencies, yeah, when you type npm install and some dependency name, npm will automatically update packages on file and add the name of the dependency you've installed and the version of this dependency. For example, as you can see, here we have dev dependencies, and when we run npm install gulp, yeah, it will be added here, as you can see here. But also we have dev dependencies and packages on and just dependencies. The difference between them is dev dependencies, they are used for some local just local development and so on. So we won't use such thing in production. And the dependencies, all these libraries, when we put something in dependencies, it means like we think that these libraries are necessary for run our application in production. For example, framework, yeah, for example, it's example of required dependency, because our framework is the important part of our application. But for example, let's say TypeScript, yeah, or for example ESLint, or I don't know, test utils, all these libraries won't be used in production, because TypeScript will be used just to compile our files to to JavaScript files. But in production, we will use already compiled files, and in runtime TypeScript won't be used. The same thing for ESLint, we'll use just to verify that all our ESLint rules are that yeah, we correctly write our application according to all ESLint rules that in our application is presented. Okay, and this, as already said, we have much more like fields here, and these one are just the most common ones. Okay, next thing is like okay, I just wanna stop here for a bit. Maybe you have some questions about what I already said. Maybe you didn't understand something and you want to clarify. If so, just raise your hand or unmute yourself or write the question in the chat. I'll wait for a minute, and then if when all questions are answered or no question, I will move forward.
I have a question about the ACID import. I mean the statement to import form. Even now, can't use in Node.js, there is support in the future?
Yeah, currently you can use ES modulus, but yeah, a little bit more history. When Node.js was invented in 2008 or nine, uh, like ES modulus wasn't presented. Yeah, they weren't in standard, and Node.js decided to create their own standard named it CommonJS. Yeah, and during the time CommonJS was used in Node.js, but in front end JavaScript ES6 modules were invented, and they were actively using during the last couple of years. And Node.js decided to switch from old CommonJS modules to ES6 modules. But the problem that it's really hard to do it just in one update. That's why Node.js team did it like iteratively. I'm sorry for my English, but like step by step. And the first step, you will be able, you was able to use modules, but the extension of the file should be like mjs. Then you was able to use modules, but inside packages on you need to put something like module ES6 or something like that. I'm not sure what step is in the last Node.js version. You can check it. I can provide, actually, you can just in Node.js documentation find modules and you will see all instructions. But now you can use ES6 modules without any like compilation, without any webpack thing, and it will work in Node.js. But maybe you'll be needed to add something to your packages on. Maybe you'll be needed to add some additional commands or so on, but at the current moment you can use them.
Okay, I understand now. Yep.
Okay, any more questions? Okay, I think we can move on. So the next one is built-in modules. So these modules that are implemented by like Node.js team, and these modules are automatically downloaded when you download your Node.js. So you don't need to use npm to use these modules. Yeah, the most popular ones is HTTP. It's the model that used for web servers. Yeah, also OS for operating system stuff. FS is for file system, for reading, writing, deleting, and so on files. And path, it's not really like not everyday use this package, but you can use it for some merging paths or creating paths. And also, for example, in Linux and in Windows, we have different approach for paths. Yeah, that's why this model can be very helpful. And as you can see in the first screenshot, when we want to import the model, we can use the same syntax with require or with import statement in new ES modules. Yeah, you need just to put the name of the model inside the function, and you don't need to provide like the path. It's a global modulus, and you need to just put the name like HTTP, and HTTP model will be in the variable we put before. Then we can use this model, and you can just open Node.js documentation, HTTP model, and see what methods you can use from this library. And for example, create server is one of the of such methods. You can run http.create server and then put some function inside. And after that, you need to call function listen and the port you want to create server on. So after execution like this to like these two screenshots on your file, the server, HTTP server will be created. And when you go to localhost, then put the port number. Yeah, you will see the like in browser in Postman. Yeah, you will see response, and just you'll see a hello world string. So it's really easy to create the server in Node.js. Yeah, but also HTTP is really like it's you when you create when you so in projects you don't need to use HTTP because all modern frameworks they use this model under the hood, yeah, and you don't need to use it, but for some more specific stuff you will be needed it. And yeah, and the right part of this slide, you can see the name of module that you can use. Yeah. Also, I haven't mentioned about crypto. This model can be used for some crypto stuff. Yeah, for example, hashing something and so on. Also, we have process. It's I believe we'll take a look into this model later. But the most popular thing is for checking n variables, or for example, when we want to create a child process and so on. And stream, this one can be used to stream some data and do not, for example, we can read file, but not the whole file by one attempt. Yeah, for example, if the file is really big, we can use streams and read the file by chunks, by like small parts. And yeah, and here just an example, yeah, a little bit more example of how to use HTTP server. Yeah, we can just create the first of all we import HTTP, then we create variables with host name and port. By default, this host name can be accessed by just localhost domain on your local machine. Yeah, then you create a variable called server, is just a result of HTTP create server. Inside this like create server, we provide the function, the callback function, and this function will be called when some request comes to your server. Yeah, for example, you create the server and then open in your browser localhost, column 3000, and press enter. This callback will be called, and inside this callback you have request and response. So inside request you can again you can check the documentation and see the whole information, but in request you can get the information about request, for example, the I don't know, the URL, the body of request, the method, and so on. And in response, you can provide some response. For example, you can specify the headers, the body, or the status code, and so on. So it's just HTTP request and HTTP response. And of course, we need to listen and provide the port number on what we want to get request. So the callback that in listen function will be executed when the server is ready. Yeah, that's why the comment here, inside console log is like server is running at this URL, because the callback will be called when server is up. Here's some more examples, but this one is for FS model. So this model is used for accessing file system, and here the example of rename file. I'm sorry, rename method. So this method can help us to rename some file name. Yeah, for example, here we use this function rename and provide before JSON. So you need to have the before JSON file. After that, after execution this code, this file will be renamed to after JSON file. As you can see, it's an old approach when we provide the callback as the last argument, and this callback will be called when this function is finished. Yeah, so it means when we, for example, put some code after this rename. Yeah, and for example, we read the file name. The file name will be. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. the file name will be old one because this like async approach here, yeah, we just provide the callback here. But in newer version of Node.js, there is fs.promises dot and then the name of any method, for example, rename. And this like promises namespace is the way to use any method of fs, but with promise approach. When you don't need to provide the callback, you just need to uh, yeah, use it as a promise, like provide then or use await, yeah, and the result will be not in callback, but like in the regular promise. Okay, and below you can see also rename sync method. On the right side of the slide, you can see that fs rename sync used without any callbacks. It's this one is synchronous approach, and when you use this approach, it's actually not recommended to use it in some production projects because when like operation of renaming is executing, this operation will block your single thread. So you don't need to use this in your, I mean, sync methods in your production application, but you can use it for some, I don't know, scripts that you will run locally once and will forget about them. Because when you use this in some production project, in some servers, during execute, for example, you want to read some big file and you use read sync method, and the reading of the file can take a couple of seconds, and during these seconds all of your application will be stuck because it will be waiting until this operation is finished, and JavaScript will just wait. But the idea is not just that JavaScript won't wait. JavaScript will always execute something, and yeah, that's why rename sync is kind of anti-pattern in as already said, in most cases, but for some like local thing or maybe for some CLI stuff, it can be used. Then example of OS model. So this model will have, we can use this model to get some data about the operation system. For example, we can use, as you can see, some methods such as platforms, such as CPUs and so on to get the data about the number of CPUs we have in our system, the name of operation system we use, the home dir, and so on and so on, the memory usage. So actually, this method, I'm sorry, this model is not used often. Yeah, you in most cases just used in once to get some data, some specific data, but it's important to know that you can do it something that you can get some information about operating system by using such model. And again, all like details about this model you can find in nodejs.org/doc or like in documentation in Node.js. And the last but not least model, it's path. And here you can see the example of usage. For example, we can use normalize method to normalize like the path. You can also use join. For example, the result of first and the second console logs will be the same because join is like join helps you to create the path without using like slashes and so on, and you can just provide the name of directories, as arguments. Yeah, you can provide test one, then like 2 slashes, then 1 slash, then top, and the result will be the same like the upper one. Then you can use resolve, so it's just also creates a path to this file. Xname just gets the extension name of the file that you provide in, again, in arguments. So path, as already said, it's a good important model, but it's not really, again, popular situation when you need to access something on your file system. But if you need, you need to think maybe you need to use such method as path. Okay, I believe that's it. Let's go to Q&A session. If you have some questions, you can ask them. I see the question in the console, so I'm sorry, in the chat. So why browser can't access those data, file system, OS, but Node.js can? Yeah, because if browser will have the access to file system, it can be security issue. For example, when you open a hacker site, hacker will be able to go to your operation, to go to your file system and get some important data and send them to like himself to his server. So in browsers, it's prohibited to use a file system due to security issues. Yeah, and yeah, that's why in browser you can't. But in Node.js, let me open the slide with architecture. Yeah, this one. So this is Node.js architecture. But if we're talking about browser, you can remove uh, almost everything except your code, core modulus, and V8. So I mean, can I draw something here? I can't. Okay, I can't. Okay, just then try to understand me. So I wanna tell you that in like common parts of Node.js and browser is that both of them use V8. Both of them can execute JavaScript, but the libraries, the under the hood stuff like all C++ stuff and so on, all this stuff are different. So that's why browser and Node.js can kind of like regulate the access to any operating system stuff. And in browser, you just don't have module fs. Yeah. So somehow. So I hope I answered your question. Maybe you can ask something to clarify, but yeah. Um, yeah, one more question. Is it security part offered from Chrome? I'm not sure that this part offered from Chrome because Mozilla Firefox also doesn't have access to file system. I think it's like just a common security recommendation for browser developers to do not provide access to file system. And yes, of course, you can create a browser that can access data. Yeah. For example, Internet Explorer, if I'm not mistaken, Internet Explorer has access to file system. Also, Chrome also has access to file system, but it's very like it's not a full access. You'll have just a small part of file system dedicated by Chrome. So you won't be able to read file from C, like disk C, and then program files and so on. You won't be able to do it with Chrome, but you will have some access to some file that Chrome allows you. But if you create your own browser, of course you will be able to do anything you want. You even can create a browser that will be using Node.js under the hood. So yeah, of course. Okay, anything else, guys? Okay, maybe I just wanna do not shy to ask the questions. I just wanna like show explain you that if you don't understand anything, you can just ask me. I'll try to explain you. Yeah, we have like 2 hours time slot. Yeah, and you just feel free to ask anything maybe you don't understand something related to event loop, yeah, we have enough time, and I'll be happy to explain you something you don't understand. So don't be shy, ask the question. Even if I already explained you something several times, just tell me one more time. I'll try to explain one more time. So yeah, don't be shy. Maybe, I don't know, maybe you have questions about the modules and so on. Maybe you need some demo, and I can, I don't know, share the screen and do some show you some examples of Node.js and so on. Just don't be shy and ask the questions. Like if no one asks the questions, it can be it means only two stuff. The first one, it can be the reason can be because I explained everything good and you understood everything. The another possible reason is that I explained really bad and you don't know even what to ask. I hope it's not the second reason.
I have a question, Ivan.
Yeah, good.
Yes, can you explain more about the event loop in Node.js? I see that the event loop in Node.js is responsible for a single thread, right? So it's not like the browser. It will be which is responsible for multiple threads. But the event loop in the Node.js is only responsible for a single thread. Can you explain more about the single thread in Node.js?
Yes. Okay, let me share one moment. I'll open just some file and try to explain it like in coding. I think it will be
Yeah.
better. Okay, so let me share the screen. I think you can see it now. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see.
Yeah, great. Okay, in Node.js, we have only one thread, but we have only one thread for JavaScript. So it means when we write some code, yeah, console log here. Yeah, and we have, for example, another console log. Yeah. So these console logs can be executed at the same time. Yeah, because this is JavaScript, it can be executed only like one after another.
Yes.
Yeah, but sometimes we need to do some stuff to, for example, create a request to some server. Let's say, I believe you know the fetch method, yeah, to get some data. And for example, we'd like to get, I don't know, google.com API, and for example, I don't know, users, the first user from the Google API. So when we run this code, for example, user is here. Yeah. When we run console log here and provide user here, we won't see the user info. Yeah, we won't see the user object because this request is asynchronous, yeah, and we won't wait until this request is finished. What happens when we run this code? Our JavaScript will say to Node.js, like Node.js libraries, like Node.js, please, I want to get this information. And JavaScript is done about that, and Node.js will try to make the request in another threads, but it's done under the hood, yeah. And the Node.js will make the request, will get the information and so on. During this time, for example, it can take, I don't know, up to, let's say 10 seconds. Yeah. During this time, we can do some JavaScript. It can be a lot, even it can be more request or some mathematic or some for loop. Yeah. And so on. And when 10 seconds is done, we can get this information, but we cannot like know that 10 seconds is done and we can write the code in 10 seconds. I mean, we cannot estimate how many seconds our code will be executed, so we can subscribe onto the response. And to do it, yeah, we can use then in promises. So now the flow will be next. So when we run this code, this then the callback function here won't be executed right after like we run this code. Yeah, if this request takes 10 seconds, it means that during these 10 seconds, our another JavaScript code will be executed. Yeah, and when 10 seconds is out, yeah, the response is returned, then our then function will be executed and user will be here. And we will be able to log user here. And inside this variable, we will see the object, we will see the result. And the idea of Node.js and JavaScript in general is to do not block the input. Like when we do some stuff that takes time, for example, we create a request, we create a set timeout, we even can go to database, we can do some file system operations. Yeah, it won't be able, so JavaScript won't wait until these operations are done. JavaScript will be executing the JavaScript right after these operations. Yeah, but it will subscribe until the for the result for these operations and will execute them after. So, and the idea of this single thread is we do not wait, we do anything all the time. And if we compare with browser, yeah, in Node.js we have some more stuff for async operations such as file system. Yeah, we can use. Yeah, we can use. Here I used ES6. Yeah, but we can use even CommonJS approach. It doesn't matter. It require. Okay, and inside this model, we have a lot more different methods, such as, for example, read file. Yeah, we can use read file, the name of the file here, and again we have a callback that will be executed when this file is ready, when the content of this file is already inside the variable we provide here. But during this time when the file is reading, another JavaScript will be executed. But as already said, we have sync methods. Yeah, we have read file sync. This is exception. Yeah, this bad practice. You don't need to use such methods because they will block. Yeah, because during the reading, another JavaScript won't be executed. And if the reading takes time, our JavaScript will wait. But yeah, it's not good. I hope it's a little bit more clear. Maybe you have some specific questions. Maybe I can explain some. Okay. I also will share the link with you. There is some guides in Node.js. I highly recommend you to read this. Here you can find more examples. It's the same thing that I've showed you before. It's like the phases that JavaScript that Node.js has, and here's some more example about how Node.js works. I think this article can be helpful for you. I'll share it to chat. So if you have time and wish, you can read it.
Yes, thank you, Ivan. I understand now.
Good. Anything else?
Hi, can you tell more about the homework we have to do? How it
Yeah.
evaluate?
About homework, actually, I cannot tell now a lot thing about homework because there are a couple of questions that I haven't resolved yet. But the idea will be next after the next lecture or on Friday. I'm not sure. I will share you share with you materials with the homework, and you'll be needed to like create some simple Node.js server. I don't remember actually the homework, and after you create it, you will be able to run to check your homework by yourselves. I will share you the link where you can provide your like code, and this service will automatically check your homework and provide you how many like points you get. If everything is okay, you'll receive the maximum number of points. And I think that's it. And of course, if you have some questions, I'll glad to help you. Yeah, and homework will be shared. If I'm not mistaken, the next lecture is on Thursday. Yeah, I think I'll share uh, the homework on Friday. I'm not sure that it will be ready on Thursday, but yeah. And talking about deadlines, the deadline will be like 1 week, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, until the next homework. That it will work somehow this way. Okay, yeah, one more question. You've said that you're a lead software engineer. What's your background, front end or back end? Yeah, that's a good question. I can answer. Yeah, my background is front end as well. So before EPAM, I worked on another company. Inside this company, we didn't have like kind of separation on front end and back end, and I was a full stack developer, and I was responsible for front end, for back end, for everything, and even for DevOps. After this company, I've joined EPAM, and here I am like backend developer. I am writing code on Node.js. I'm responsible for some Node.js stuff, but sometimes I also need to do some stuff on front end. Because I have such skills, and if it's needed, if some front end developers are out or they don't know how to fix it, I also will help them. So I'm like more backend developers, but of course I also have front end experience, and sometimes I need to use it. Okay, yeah. The next question: can you share something about backend? What fun, what boring for a newbie who'll be choosing between? Yeah. The first thing I want to tell, like, you don't need to choose for now. It's for some like and for a couple first years you can be in the front end and back end, because when you don't need to dive deeper, you can have a kind of like same level of skills in front end and back end, and during some experience, during some time, some years, you will understand what you like more. But talking about me, yeah, I prefer backend. Yeah, because on front end I don't like HTML and all these types CSS. I can write sites, I can write them, but I like don't like it. Also, but on front end, for example, I had experience with React. I liked React, but I can do front end for a couple of maybe days, hours, but I'll be begin boring during time. Talking about backend, what I like is you write maybe the complexity of tasks, because in backend sometimes it's really the task can be really harder, because backend is really like bigger part. You can it's a databases. You need to, for example, you need to create a new server, and you need to know how this service and for example, this service should be able to receive thousands or tens of thousands requests per minute, per second, and you need to know how to do it. You need to find the solution for that. You also need to think, for example, what if one of our services is down? You need to think about the pattern that will help you to specify the behavior when something went wrong. Also, sometimes in backend, we can also face more stuff on production. For example, when there are, let's say, when the traffic on your site is getting higher. For example, let's say you're developing the shop website, and you, I don't know, created an advertisement, and after this advertisement is shown, a lot of people came to your website, and for front-end part, it actually doesn't matter because the front-end code will be executed on the computer of every user, and the front-end will like get suffered, yeah, because it will be executed on the mobile phone of the computer of the person, but the server for all of these users will be the same, and the like number of requests will rise, and you need to think, okay, what will happen if a big amount of users will open your site, and how to mitigate this, and so on and so on. So I would say that backend is more like not like harder, but it's more engineering stuff, and yes, but and not in another hand, on front end you have you can see what you do, yeah, like just after a couple of rows of code you will see a beautiful button, but in backend you will see like hello world in console in a black terminal, like not everyone likes it, yeah. Yeah, that's why I prefer backend. But also, I don't want to say that front-end is easy. In front-end, you also might have a really hard tasks, a really big interfaces, a really hard applications. And I also had a hard task on front-end, but yeah, I still prefer backend because if we sum everything, I would say that in backend, like more interesting stuff for me. What is the most difficult part in development backend? Implement features, security, speed. I actually don't know. It depends. I cannot answer like security or speed because for one project, security is not a problem. If, for example, some user will be able to see the database data, it can be not a problem because inside database we don't have anything like anything that can harm our customer. For another project, yeah, the speed can be very important, and if your server cannot handle, I don't know, 1 billion trillion requests per nanosecond, like yeah, it can be the problem. So I cannot say what the difficult part, because it depends on the project. Yeah, it's hard to specify thing. So sometimes it's difficult to debug some backend some production bugs. For example, we have the user that hacked our system. We need to think how did this user did it, and so on. But it's maybe the hard part that you can face on every project. Yeah, but again, in specific project, you might have a specific difficulties. Okay. Anything more? Any other questions? Okay, good. Looks like okay. I'm still sharing the screen. I didn't see it. Okay. Looks like no question in chat, and no hands are up. Okay, I think we can finish it now. Thank you very much, guys. Yeah, I think we'll meet on Thursday. Yeah, thank you very much. Have a good, I believe, evening in your location. Yeah, goodbye. And I'm stopping the recording and